welcome everybody. I am so very excited to be here. I'm Jeff Swan. I'm the Chief Information Officer in Ohio DNR.
And I'm Donovan Powers, the GIS Manager for Ohio DNR.
Bill Hoffman, Program Manager with the Ohio Division of Parks and Watercraft.
Thanks, gentlemen. Before we get into the details of the presentation, I'd like to start with a short video. Mike? That video gets me every time, no matter how many times I watch it. But now let's go for a detour. So our goal throughout this project, was to always focus on having a go-to resource, for all the trails in Ohio. The two main objectives, not the only ones, but the two main ones, was to develop a comprehensive and statewide geographic database for trails. Also, displaying this data was so very important with our new mobile and desktop application. Our journey was vast. Data collaboration definitely, went to the top. It was 2 years in the making. The vision plan involved a variety of stakeholders across Ohio, included but not limited to trail advocates, planners, park managers, and our end users. And last, but certainly not least, with integration, with our GIS enterprise database. That's going to give us the ability to continue to grow and make this the best application for our divisions. Just so happens, one of our core values is do the right thing the right way. And honestly, this project, is a perfect example of that. We absolutely did the right thing for our customers, and we did it the right way. That will help us continue to grow and mature for years to come. I'm so very proud of the team and what they've been able to do with this application along the way, and it was truly a team effort. I just want to thank everybody, and now I'm going to hand it over to Phil Hoffman for additional scope information and a short video of the mobile app.
Thanks, Jeff. From the beginning, we wanted to provide end users with authoritative data about the recreational trails in Ohio. DETOUR had to be easy to use and available on multiple platforms. Users had to be able to search by viewing a map or by entering text. DETOUR had to support an offline function where an end user can download a map and track their progress via GPS. Lastly, we needed end users to authenticate and create a profile in order to store favorite trails and recorded trips by using the state of Ohio's official user authentication platform. So let's take a very quick look at the DETOUR mobile app. From the very beginning of DETOUR's development, we wanted to make it easy for people to find trails. Using the distance selector in the app, users can search by a radius up to 25 miles. In this example, I'm selecting a radius of 10 miles, and I see that 64 trails are available. As a DETOUR user, I can see all of the trails that are around me. The available trails are represented as information cards with high-level details. Additional information in the map is revealed when a card is selected. I can zoom and pan to find other trails nearby or across the state. I can also use the search bar by entering the first part of a trail's name. When a trail is selected, it's highlighted on a map with the trail card below, and other trail options are still visible nearby. When I expand the trail card, I can see all of the data attributes that Donovan will talk about in just a moment. attributes like allowed uses, a trail description, special restrictions, minimum maximum elevation, and links to the managing agency and local trail websites. By selecting the Get Here button, DETOUR will open up my driving navigation app and present me with turn-by-turn directions to the trailhead. Creating a profile and logging in allows me to do even more with DETOUR. I can choose offline mode to select, download, and access offline maps. And if you've ever used a navigation app, and I'm betting most of you have, you know how frustrating they can sometimes be to use out in remote areas. Now I can take DETOUR out of town, far outside the reach of cell towers, and still see all of my relevant trail information, including points of interest and trail photos. DETOUR also allows me to record a trip, even when I'm offline. I can track and record my progress in my favorite park or forest, but I don't need to be on a trail. I can record a trip anywhere, even a walk around the block near my home. DETOUR records the distance I've traveled along with the elapsed time. I can take notes, attach a photo, and give my trip a custom name. Finally, users can provide feedback through DETOUR, which utilizes ArcGIS Survey 123. This allows us to receive input from users to help us clearly see where we can make improvements to the app and where we've hit our target. Users also have the ability to report a trail problem. This provides actionable information to both ODNR trail managers and our external trail data providers. Now Donovan will talk about the data used by DETOUR.
Thanks, Phil. So you've heard about the goals of the application and you saw a quick demo. Now let's talk about the data that drives the app. So next slide. Currently, we have 7,000 miles of trails. We didn't start that way. We did a soft launch initially with just DNR trails. And then about 3 or 4 weeks later, we added on another wave of partner data. So we've been growing this periodically over the last 4 months when we launched in April. Next slide. So initial trail data was primarily geometry. This is before we even started this DETOUR project. After scoping DETOUR, we quickly realized that we needed a lot more attributes in order to meet the functionality goals of the app. So we quickly launched a few easy to develop applications using ArcGIS Collector and Field Maps and ArcGIS Online Web App Builder so that we could get this data out to our constituents to start adding more attributes. We also did a data schema change so that we could apply 22 different coded value domains just to the trail lines themselves. And we launched those apps, and data collection and cleanup was even easier because those apps quickly integrate easily into everything that we need to do to make this app work. Next slide, please. So we also had some geometry cleanup in there, and I probably got ahead of myself, but we use ArcGIS Pro with topology tools to clean up some of that geometry. Here, so we start with trail segments. That's kind of the smallest segment of the line work that we used. But we quickly realized that we needed to have something a little more user-friendly in the application. So we started dissolving the trails as well. And that's based off of a few different attributes, trail primary name and alternate names and managed areas, things like that. We also created a data set called featured routes. And what those are scenic and popular routes that we know a lot of people want to use. And then we also created a network data set, and that's going to be used for our turn-by-turn directions. Next slide. So within here, you can see that we've got additional data within our map. We have points of interest, and we needed to use points of interest to kind of add a little more usability to the application. Points of interest include parking, campgrounds, restrooms, lodges, things like that. So we created a whole data set for all that information as well. And it too has a robust schema with a lot of coded value domains. We also created a custom vector tile base map, which includes forested areas, contour elevations, typical things that you would see in a hiking map. And oh, don't forget the robust search function. That in and of itself is probably half the size of this application. That allows the user to not only search by trail names, but also areas, county, township, park, you name it. And we're adding more functionality to that as we go. So next slide. So we're going to continue to add on to this. As we built it, we started hearing from a lot of people to add their data. So it's truly a build it and they'll come kind of scenario. We've got over 3,500 ArcGIS Hub community users, and that's kind of how we built this, was so that we could include the users that could download and create their own data and be part of this whole community. So when you go into the app and you create an account for those additional features, your account's actually out in ArcGIS Hub, and it's one of our community licenses. We've got future enhancements in mind too. We plan on having real-time trail closures, and like I mentioned before, those turn-by-turn directions. We've got over 15,000 installations of the mobile apps between the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. Next slide. So if you're interested in learning more, feel free to reach out to us. There's a link to the webpage that you can see the app and download it, and there's a QR code there for you as well.